clean up that coffee spill," barked the executive, pointing at the puddle near the conference table without even glancing up from her tablet. "And make sure the trash is emptied before the board arrives." Dominic Hayes stood still for a moment, his portfolio tucked under one arm, the weight of his Harvard MBA and 5 years at Goldman Sachs suddenly invisible beneath his skin color and casual Friday attire. He wasn't the janitor, but he nodded politely anyway, a calculated smile crossing his face. She had no idea who he was or what he was about to become. Before we dive into this story, hit the comments and tell us your city or country. Let's see how far this story reaches. If you like the video, do well to subscribe for more. Dominic had always known he was different. Raised in South Chicago by his grandmother after losing both parents in a car accident, he'd spent his childhood surrounded by books instead of video games. While other kids played basketball, he studied the stock market, memorizing patterns, and company histories like others memorized sports statistics. His grandmother, a retired economics professor, had nurtured his mind with challenging questions and late-night discussions about wealth distribution and corporate responsibility. By 28, Dominic had graduated summa cum laude from Harvard Business School, completed prestigious internships, and built a small but impressive investment portfolio. Yet, despite his polished resume and impeccable credentials, he was consistently underestimated in the tech world, especially as a young black man in Silicon Valley's sea of hoodies and privilege. When he received an invitation to shadow Victoria Blackwell, the iron-fisted CEO of Horizon Technologies, a $4.2 billion AI and robotics conglomerate headquartered in Seattle, he accepted immediately. But what no one else knew, not even Blackwell herself, was that this wasn't just a visit, it was an audition. His late uncle, Dr. Raymond Hayes, had been Blackwell's silent partner and chief innovation officer before his sudden death 6 months earlier. Unknown to the public and most of the company, Raymond had quietly transferred his 45% controlling stake to his nephew with a stipulation. Dominic would need to observe the company's operations firsthand before the shares officially transferred at the upcoming quarterly board meeting. On his first day, dressed in dark jeans and a simple button-down, intentionally understated to observe unfiltered company culture, Dominic walked through Horizon's gleaming headquarters only to be repeatedly mistaken for support staff. A marketing director asked him to fix her printer. An HR manager handed him her coffee order. The final indignity came when Eleanor Frost, Blackwell's chief operating officer, mistook him for janitorial staff and ordered him to clean up a spill. He hesitated only briefly before finding paper towels. Every wipe of the conference room table was a reminder of his uncle's words. Sometimes you learn more from the floor than from the head of the table. He cleaned the spill, emptied the trash bins, and quietly took a seat in the back corner of the room as executives filed in. The quarterly strategy presentation was underwhelming, full of conservative projections, uninspired product roadmaps, and a glaring absence of the innovation that had once been Horizon's hallmark. Dominic noticed Blackwell herself seemed disengaged, delegating most decisions to Frost, who appeared more concerned with cost-cutting than growth. When the discussion turned to abandoning a promising neural interface project his uncle had championed, Dominic couldn't remain silent. "Excuse me," he said, standing, every head turned. Frost's eyes narrowed. "This is a confidential executive meeting. Maintenance staff should have cleared out an hour ago." Dominic walked calmly to the front of the room. He connected his tablet to the projector and displayed a complex series of algorithms and market projections. "You're absolutely right," he said, his voice steady. "But as the controlling shareholder of Horizon Technologies, I believe I have the floor." The room froze. Victoria Blackwell's coffee cup stopped midway to her lips. What followed was a masterful deconstruction of the company's strategic missteps and a visionary roadmap for reclaiming Horizon's innovative edge. Dominic presented breakthrough applications for the neural interface technology, revealed untapped markets in developing nations, and outlined a bold ethical framework for AI development that would position Horizon ahead of impending regulations. He spoke with the confidence of someone who had studied the company from every angle, citing specific projects, personnel strengths, and competitive analyses. By the time he finished, even Blackwell, notorious for her stoicism, looked impressed. "And who exactly are you?" she asked, breaking the stunned silence. "Dominic Hayes. Dr. Raymond Hayes was my uncle. I believe you have a letter from him in your safe to be opened at tomorrow's board meeting." The next 24 hours were chaos. Security footage of the confrontation leaked to tech blogs. Frost attempted to have Dominic removed from the premises, only to be overruled by Blackwell, who had indeed found the letter exactly where Dominic said it would be. Legal teams worked overnight to verify the share transfer. When the board convened the following afternoon, the room was packed with executives, lawyers, and a few carefully selected journalists. The tension was palpable as Blackwell read Raymond's letter aloud, confirming Dominic's controlling interest and his uncle's wish that he assume leadership if the board found him worthy. Frost launched into a passionate objection. "This is absurd. He has no executive experience. He's barely out of school. Horizon needs stable, experienced leadership, not some diversity hire-playing CEO." The room gasped at her naked prejudice. Dominic remained calm, even as his hands tightened around the edge of the table. "Ms. Frost," he said quietly, "yesterday you thought I was the janitor. Today you know I'm the majority shareholder. The only thing that changed was information, not my capabilities." That's exactly the problem with Horizon's current approach. You're making decisions based on appearances rather than data. He turned to address the full board. "My uncle built this company on 3 principles: ethical innovation, human potential, and courage. In the past year, you've abandoned all 3. Your AI ethics board hasn't met in 8 months. Your diversity initiatives exist only in press releases. And your R&D budget has been cut by 38%, while executive bonuses have increased by 22%. The board members shifted uncomfortably as Dominic displayed the evidence on screen. "I'm not here for a hostile takeover. I'm here because Horizon can be better than this. The Neural Interface Project isn't just another product line. It's the future of human-AI collaboration. And if we don't develop it ethically, our competitors will develop it recklessly." The vote was called. The tension mounted as each board member cast their ballot. When the final tally came in, 7-2 in favor of confirming Dominic as CEO, the room erupted in a mixture of applause and murmurs. Dominic took the podium, cameras flashing around him. "Thank you for your trust. Yesterday, I was asked to empty trash bins. Today, I'm asking all of us to empty our preconceptions about what leadership looks like and who deserves a seat at the table. Horizon wasn't built by playing it safe. It's time we remembered that." In the weeks that followed, Dominic moved with strategic precision. He didn't fire Frost immediately as many expected. Instead, he reassigned her to lead the Neural Interface Ethics Committee, forcing her to confront her own biases about technology and human potential. He reinstated his uncle's mentorship program for underrepresented groups in tech, doubled the R&D budget by trimming executive perks, and relocated his grandmother to a penthouse overlooking Puget Sound. The most surprising move came 3 months later when he announced a partnership with Blackwell, who had gracefully stepped down as CEO but remained as Chief Innovation Advisor, a role that allowed her to focus on the creative work she'd originally loved before getting trapped in administrative duties. Under their joint leadership, Horizon released a revolutionary neural interface prototype that allowed paralyzed patients to control prosthetics with unprecedented precision. The stock soared 43% in a single day. 6 months into his tenure, Dominic stood on stage at TechCrunch Disrupt, his grandmother watching proudly from the front row. The greatest barrier to innovation isn't technology, he told the packed audience. It's our failure to recognize potential in unexpected places. Sometimes the next great idea comes from the person you asked to clean up your coffee. The story went viral, inspiring a wave of companies to re-examine their hiring practices and unconscious biases. Frost eventually became one of Dominic's strongest allies after the ethics committee work forced her to confront her prejudices. And the janitor who had shown Dominic where to find cleaning supplies on that first day. He was now heading Horizon's facilities innovation team, redesigning workspaces for maximum creativity and inclusion. Because Dominic Hayes understood something the tech world was slowly learning, true disruption doesn't just change products, it changes perspectives. And sometimes, the view from the bottom is exactly what's needed to reach the top. If you enjoyed this story of unexpected leadership, hit subscribe and share your thoughts below. How would you have handled being in Dominic's position?